may be looking at this picture and wondering, oh my goodness, what happened to that beautiful lady? Did she get sick on this boat? Did she pass out? Is she having a medical issue? Did she get heat stroke? No. This woman refused to get off of this boat and caused people to get sick, have to sit in the heat for long periods of time while she sat there like a 5-year-old with her arms folded, refusing to get off of this boat. As you can see, the police had to come and physically remove her from her seat. Now, she and her mom and her son, who is about 8 or 10 years old, are passengers on the Carnival Glory. This is them getting ready to go on an excursion. Now, if you've cruised before, you know when you go on an excursion, you have to get wristbands. Her mom, and her son did not have wristbands, and they were asked to get off of the boat.
So a little backstory, because she's talking about her not having wristbands. The thing is, they never purchased the excursion package. That's why they didn't have the wristbands. But they still wanted to go on that excursion, but that's not how it works. You don't get something that you don't pay for. And I know she called her beautiful at the beginning, and that's kind of stretching it. But let's continue.
She even made herself heavy, stiff, and made it hard for them to remove her. So this woman police officer slid her over in her seat, got her down on the ground, lifted her up by underneath her arms. This other policeman came and they carried her off of the boat because she refused to move. Meanwhile, her child is off of the boat on the side watching all of this, completely embarrassed, and he is in tears.
And he was embarrassed. He was crying. I got what I believe is part of the original video. I'm not sure if it's the whole thing. The original creator privated it or deleted the video, so I wasn't able to get the whole thing, but I did find somebody that kind of duetted it or cut it together. And so we'll watch some of that. But it's kind of crazy how the kid was the one being the adult in the room. I mean, this is a grown woman. This is a grown-ass woman acting like a child because she wants to do something that she did not pay for. This is pure entitlement. But this is what I was talking about when I spoke about my video yesterday. That the culture within the black community needs to change. And I guarantee you, she has no man. Because what man would want to deal with this? I mean, she did only mention her mother and her son being there. There's no man in the picture. I wonder why. I wonder if the man is even in the son's life. And not because he may not want to be, but people like this who are entitled and want to make other people's lives as difficult as possible usually want to do that with the father of their kids when they're no longer together. But let's continue.
Standing with someone that works at the dock while they are trying to get her up off of the boat. You can see that he's clearly saddened. I know he's embarrassed, and I know this is ruining his vacation, and this is something that's going to stick with him for
the video is going to cut off, so I'm going to go ahead and play the original video.
Okay, fair warning, this is a long story, but if you've ever been on a cruise, you know the excursions can be chaotic.
For context, this is on the right, the original video, and this lady just so happened to have a copy.
So we booked an excursion through Carnival Glory to get on a ferry to go over to the Blue Lagoon beach. We stood over an hour in line waiting on the ferry to get here. Finally,
I believe that gentleman right there in the white shirt is the captain talking to her. I could be wrong. But from what I've read, even the captain was telling her, you did not pay for this. You don't have a wristband. I believe they also offered to refund her the money because she didn't have a wristband, and if she wasn't going, they were going to refund her until they found out that she wasn't on the list of people to be on that excursion anyways.
It went crazy. There's a family of 3 that apparently didn't get the wristbands that is required to go to the beach. No wristband, you don't get off of the boat at the dock. Just that simple. But the mom, she was not having it. She was determined that she was not getting off of this boat. Security came, asked her to leave, and she just kept saying, I'm not getting off of the boat. Over and over again.
Look at the child here. Look at this kid right here. That's the son. Completely embarrassed by the actions of a grown adult, his mom. And I just want to say that if this was her first time on a cruise, this will be her first and last time, because they will ban her from ever getting on a cruise. It's kind of sad too, and this always seems to happen on Carnival cruises, and I see the comments online, but there's a reason people put the comments online. Because no offense, every time you see some brawl happening, every time you see some commotion happening on a cruise, it just seems like it's always black people. I have another video that I want to play for you guys after we go over this one. That just goes to exemplify the shit that goes down. And it's crazy because I'm actually going on a cruise in August with my mother. I've never been on a cruise, and I just so happen to book a Carnival cruise. Now, I've seen the stories for years now, and it slipped my mind. She wants to go to the Bahamas. She's never been on a cruise. I've never been on a cruise, and I thought it was a nice gesture for my mother, and so I booked I believe it's a 4 or 5 day cruise for the both of us. And so hopefully I don't have any negative experiences like this, but it's absolutely insane. They're calling Carnival like the ghetto ship of the seas, because it seems like every time this happens, it happens with black people, and it happens on a cruise ship, on a Carnival cruise ship. But again, look at this. Look how embarrassed this child is. He doesn't know what to do. He's being the adult, and he got off. And his mother refuses to get off the ferry for something she never paid for.
Her little boy was begging her to get off of the boat. And then the little boy just walked away and broke down and started crying. And to make it worse,
This is pathetic. The boy was begging her to get off. The boy was being more of an adult than his mother was. And this is an example that's going to stick with him for the rest of his life. This is an experience that's going to stick with him for the rest of his life. And I pray to Jesus that boy turns out to be a good, upstanding citizen. But when they grow up in households like that, it's almost always doomed to fail. He'll see the entitlement growing up, and maybe he'll pick it up too. And he'll feel entitled, just like his mother. But I hope that that's not the case. And again, it just goes to show, where's the man? There is no man in the picture. Why is there no man in the picture? Because what man would want to deal with a woman like this? Who wants to deal with a combative person like this? That even in the face of being wrong, when everyone knows that she's wrong, she won't admit that she's wrong. And she proves it by the fact that they had to drag her out of this ferry that she did not pay for. Why would anyone want to deal with that? Why would any man with any level of self-respect want to deal with that kind of woman?
like I can't breathe hot. And one lady started having an asthma attack. At this point, everyone's sweating, waiting and watching this unfold. Finally, a security guard shows up that can actually lift her. And I kid you not, she lifts her up and carries her off of the boat. I've seen a lot on cruises, but this right here was the next level. The moral of the story is
portraying
when you go on a cruise excursion, get your wristband, don't fight security, and maybe don't ruin your kids' vacation.
I guarantee that security guard broke her back.
How embarrassing is this for your child? Have y'all ever experienced drama like this on Carnival Glory for an excursion? Let me know in the comments.
So yeah, that was the full video. Completely avoidable situation. Now, I want to read some of the comments from the original video, and then we'll play one more video, and then we'll wrap it up here. The original video, first comment I see is, I would never act up in another country, shaking my head. Neither would I. I mean, I'm currently living in another country, and you best believe I'm on my best behavior. You see, Americans outside of America, or Americans inside of America, think that when they go other places, they are somehow immune to the laws of other countries. But people in other countries don't give a fuck that you're American. They don't. Oftentimes, actually, that puts a target on your back to let people know that you're American. So you have to tread lightly. You have to be careful when you're traveling in other countries. Someone else said, at her big age. Somebody else said, laughing my ass off. Look at the look on her face. Said enough. Someone else said, and her son was standing off to the side crying. Sad situation. Somebody else said, in front of her kid. It's just, everybody's just cooking this woman. And the internet is forever. Nobody will ever forget this. I wouldn't be surprised if her employer saw this and she got fired from her job. If she has any decent, respectable job anyways. But I have one last video that we're going to play that really exemplifies why people don't like to travel in cruises, Carnival cruises, and they don't like being, I'm sorry, but I mean, the reality is, because we're going to read the comments, they don't like being around black people.
Massive group of people started a brawl when they got off their cruise ship yesterday. So I'm going to play the video for you here. These people have just gotten off their 7-day Carnival cruise from Cozumel, Mexico, when they land in Galveston, Texas, which is one of the worst places to ever sail out of. And 24 people have now been placed on the do not sail list because of this fight. It's kind of just like a do not fly list on a plane. If you end up fighting with somebody in an airport, you'll get put on that list. As you see, security guards start running, but there's not much they can do. Even police get involved. You'll see them come in the picture right here. The Carnival cruise ship said this happened under U.S. Custom and Border Protection, which is where they're at right here. They were coming back into the country. And as you can see, the people even start to push the officers right there. And then the officers couldn't control them. So they start fighting the officers and then start fighting each other again. This is absolutely crazy because these 24 people will never be able to get on a boat ever again. As you can see, there's women, children, old, young. Everybody was just going at it. We still don't know exactly what caused this, but you guys let me know what you think.
Comments read, Section 8 cruise. Black cruise, no thanks. Someone else said, ghetto of the high seas. Someone else said, they can ruin anything. I mean, the comments are pretty negative, and like I said, until something in the black community changes, people are always going to look at them in a negative light. And that's not to say all black people, because not all black people are the same, obviously. But American black people often tend to start trouble, and it's usually between them. But they tend to start trouble. That's why a lot of people say the same thing about Spirit Airlines. They often fly Spirit Airlines, and something's always going down with Spirit. Now, I've flown Spirit as well. Luckily, I've never had a bad interaction. But like I said in my previous video, something in the culture has to change. And until that changes, things like this are going to continue to happen. And people are going to continue to try and avoid being in areas where there's a lot of black people. I know that sounds fucked up, but the black community does it to itself. It's like I said, At some point, some accountability has to be taken. But anyways, that's the video, guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you agree, disagree. What do you think about what I said in all these videos? And if you like the video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.